So now to move on to CoffeeZilla, my favorite.
CoffeeZilla.
One of my favorite YouTubers.
Same.
There was a comprehensive report published that painted a negative light on crypto dealings allegedly associated with you. To what extent were you involved in these crypto transactions, and how do you respond to CoffeeZilla's video on you detailing these allegations? I thought he gave you a benefit of the doubt in that video.
Yeah.
I think he's a very reasonable guy, to be honest. I think he's a very smart, reasonable guy who cares about like doing the right thing, which is pretty rare on YouTube. You know, how do you how would you respond to Coffee's video?
Yeah.
I will say another reason why I love CoffeeZilla, and I mentioned this in last stream, is because I align with him in a lot of ways. And like, if you think about what I do over the years with like Insufferable Instagram and Brainworms, where it's kind of, mine's always a little bit more comedy oriented, where I'm just trying to have a bit of laugh at the expense of the insane shit that's going on. But it always comes down to like having some sort of moral code or compass that you live your life by. And mine's behavior related, where Coffee's built his career typically more around like the financial crime side of things. Like even before he got into the crypto stuff, it was just a lot of investigations on the scumbags that were just scamming people on Instagram, selling courses, like the Andrew Tate types, like where you have these classes and courses, and just doing these deep dives and seeing, you know, the moral gray area that goes on with a lot of these people that are just extracting value from their audience without really providing value. Some people to the point of, you know, it being illegal and eventually having to face the music, and others, in a sense, like doing things that are maybe morally reprehensible, but there's no real laws in place to protect them. So I think one of the reasons I align or just like watching him is because I typically watch his content and I'm agreeing with everything he says. But he does, like Caleb just said there, he's seems pretty objective in most of his investigations and thorough, which is...
Coffee's video and the report. Well, so I'll start off with the report. I mean, most people probably haven't even read it, but that's what kind of spawned that whole thing was this. Did you see it? Like that? Yeah. So the gist of this crypto report that was, 1 second. Sorry. It's not my...
I love the timing of that.
The gist of this report was...
He's like, the gist of this oh God. Whew. It's kilo. Is it dry in here? Did someone turn the heat down? Turn the heat down a little bit? Sorry, ask.
Jimmy is too stupid to like make this kind of money. Therefore, it must be insider trading. This is his wallet. You know, clearly there was insider trading because he never would have been able to make this kind of money. When in reality, which is what I told Coffee in that.
I don't think that wasn't the gist I got from Coffee's report. I just wanted to say that because, like, if you know anything about crypto, I know some of the stupidest motherfuckers on the planet make the most amount of money, right? So it's not like, oh, you need to be some sort of smarty pants, elaborate, crazy guy to do these schemes. It's like, no, you can literally just ape like $5,000 into something called Fartcoin and make $3 million in 3 months. Like it's stupid. Like you can be a sophisticated bad actor and extract a lot of value through scams, of course, which is kind of what that investigation was talking about. But it certainly doesn't take a genius to make money in crypto. But also those same people half the time or more than half the time end up losing all of that money at the same time. It's very...
That statement we gave him. It was managed by a fund. So I wasn't the one managing the wallet. You know, I've never had access to that wallet. I've never done the buying and selling on that wallet. There's a actual professional who's written books on crypto and lived and breathes crypto every second of the day managing it. So most of the allegations there like are just answered by like, I am too stupid to do that. That's why a fund was managing it. You know what I mean? And yeah, I mean, like Coffee said, like if he literally said this in a video. If you like Jimmy, then you're like, yeah, he has answers for everything and just checks out. And if you don't like Jimmy, then you're going to go, you know, there's obviously wrongdoing here. But yeah, I mean, the honest truth is like, I make videos, I'm running 7 businesses, I got a lot going on. And yeah, I invested in a crypto fund, they invested on my behalf, and I've never like had access to that wallet. They're the one doing the buying and selling. I mean, there are thousands of transactions on there. Like, I don't even have that kind of time. I'm sure you could probably even look at it and see like data.
So my knee-jerk reaction to that is twofold. He talks a lot about this fund, right? He has this wallet that he doesn't even have access to, and obviously these people managing it, and there's thousands of transactions. I think that probably, he's obviously, yes, involved. I'm sure he has people, experts, like everything he does in his life at this point, he's surrounded by experts to try and help him do it at the best level possible with YouTube. I'm sure crypto's no different. I'm sure he's a guy who spends most of his time trying to find opportunities to bring Jimmy's way. Here's a new project. They're looking for seed rounds. You want to invest $150K, and then, we just need you to like tweet about it or something like that. Totally see that as a plausible scenario. I don't believe him when he says he doesn't have access to the wallet. I call horseshit on that. A lot of people that I know that are into just crypto in general, like you're gonna fuck around with it yourself. And there's been clips, I think, from podcasts where he's talked about buying punks. He's talked about using the apps and buying things like, so he's not an idiot. He knows what he's doing. I'm certainly don't think he's sitting there all day online, like trying to rug people from fucking pump and dump coins and shit. No, but by any means, but like the kind of the B side to that too, is even if you didn't have access to the wallet, for instance, and you hired or have the smartest crypto guy in the space that's written a book on crypto, managing your fund that your name is tied to, and that guy is making a habit of investing seed rounds into, companies, and then promoting them. And while you're promoting them and inflating the price, selling out of your wallets as retail is dumping into these coins, you're still associating with that kind of behavior, which again, the way they did it, I don't think was necessarily illegal. It's just a question of, what you think is ethical or not.
Days where I was like maybe in solitary confinement or like doing a video where I didn't even have access to a computer and there's trading.
True.
So for the conspiracy theorists that think I'm lying and using the fund as a cover up, there's gotta be some way where you could just figure that out, like, or I was on a plane ride or something. That's like the honest transparency is, I was in a crypto fund and people thought I owned the wallet and it's called Wu-Tang Clan. Do you listen to Wu-Tang Clan?
Sorry.
I have, yes.
Sorry. I don't.
Yeah.
My bad.
So I feel like that's another indicator.
Really?
I wouldn't have named it Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah.
I had to educate myself on what Wu-Tang Clan was.
What? The name of the wallet is Wu-Tang Clan, I think. I don't know if it's like WuTangClan.eth or whatever it is, but he's saying that was a wallet that was owned by someone else before he got involved in the fund.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty interesting. Because the whole like just YouTubers in any way being involved with crypto in any sense now is just like
agreed, and that's why I
true.
literally put it in a fund, because I was like, I don't want to like fuck with this stuff and like be I just like, I want someone who knows what they're doing to do it, to make sure things are above board. So that's literally why I did that, right? It's because I was like,
knows what they're doing, right? Someone who knows what they're doing typically means someone who can try and extract the most value out of the market as possible for me. And when you're a capitalist, you're making money and you have a lot of money and you're diversifying that money and trying to find opportunities to continue to grow that money to then subsidize your channels or whatever to help pay for everything. Like, this is normal behavior. Like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like what Jimmy's doing is criminal by any means. I don't think it is at all. Like, when you spend a lot of time in the crypto space, like, one thing you realize is there's two different types. There's influencers, and any time like an influencer touches something crypto, it's a disaster Ponzi scam, and it's just maximum value extractive. It's like somebody in the crypto space knows that they can try and use their audience to pump something, and then they sell a bunch of tokens from side wallets as retail dumps into it, right? That's the worst case scenario. But then in the crypto space, there is crypto influencers that have grown influence because of their expertise in the crypto markets. And there's so much gray in the behavior of how these people do. Because if you have like 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 Twitter followers, you can literally tweet about a coin with a small market cap, and it will affect the price of the coin. So like, you have to start being careful with how you talk about these financial vehicles in public once you have an audience, because you can move markets. So you have to be a little bit tentative around how you talk about it. And it's everything in between. So when he says like, I hired a professional crypto guy, it's like, you probably just partnered with a crypto influencer, or like a behind the scenes researcher whose only job is to make the most amount of money popular. And one of the popular ways to do that is to get people with influence to talk about things to buy seed rounds into these projects and then like sell as the project's going up. And then on a long time horizon, what you'll see, most of these projects after the bull market slows down and we hit a bear, 99% of these projects just trend to zero because most of them are Ponzi fucking bullshit anyways.
I'm buying and selling it. Maybe I mess things up or do something dumb. So I was like, oh, this fund is led by someone who knows what he's doing. Here you go. You know, that was literally the whole logic behind it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. On to some philanthropy.
So that's it. I don't doubt that he has a guy or multiple guys that kind of do a lot of transactions where he's just like, you know, if you have someone you trust, it's like no difference than having a friend that's like a financial investor or like a CPA or something, and you have a ton of money and you're looking to diversify. And to Mr. Beast, what's $100,000? Literally nothing. He makes that in 16 minutes in YouTube revenue. So he's got this guy that's like, listen, we got this company looking for some seed rounds. What do you think about $100,000? Mr. Beast is like, yeah, sure, whatever. And all he cares about is that like 5 months later, he finds out that $100,000 turns into $1.5 million, right? And in that sense, like that's just normal investor behavior once you have the capital to start moving money around and find opportunities. On the other side of things, this idea that he's like, I don't even have access to the wallet, or he doesn't know what's going on. No, I think Mr. Beast is very in tune with the crypto market and what's going on. He was an early investor in punks and other things. He's been talking about Bitcoin and Ethereum since, 2020, 19, early on in the last bull run. So like this whole idea of like, I'm just too stupid to know what to do. That whole shtick, like trying to make himself, escape culpability, just like pretending like he's, come on. We're not fucking dumb. I'm not saying you're doing anything illegal, because the crypto, the investment technique in the crypto space is a little bit shady to begin with right now, especially with people with a lot of capital and influence. But let's not pretend you don't know what the fuck's going on. I got this guy wrote a book about crypto, and so I have this fun. It's like, okay. All right. I think overall, Jimmy's just going to get a lot of hate because he's the biggest brand on the planet, no matter what. And I know there's a lot of other stuff they cover in this podcast with the Ava Tyson shit I don't want to get into. I want to just stick to the crypto thing for the sake of this video. I don't think Jimmy has like nefarious intentions around most of what he does. I just think he's super successful. He's got tons of people around him that are part of his success, that are needing his attention and his time, that are trying to continue to grow this brand and turn it into this kind of like Goliath that takes over the world. And so there's going to be some casualties on the way there.
I know I talked about
Here we go.
CoffeeZilla a little bit yesterday. He's awesome. I think he does really good work on YouTube, and he holds people accountable. And it's just impressive. He does actual real investigatory work. Like
I feel like this is Caleb's attempt at being like, hey, I wasn't really hard enough on you yesterday in my question asking, and I'm trying to redeem myself because I watched it back and it seemed a little bit soft because you basically were like, I didn't know what was going on. So I'm curious to see what he says here.
He's not the guy who makes videos out of convenience like most of other, like me and a bunch of other commentary YouTubers. So, I feel like it's my responsibility to ask some more questions about the crypto stuff, because we sort of glossed over it a little bit yesterday.
Indeed.
And it's one of those things where it's note heavy, receipt heavy. So, if you don't know something,
yes,
you just let me know. And if you have to go find information or whatever to back up what you're saying, I don't expect you're like a politician and have all your fucking, we're not debating philosophy,
John, thanks,
or politics. Like, I don't expect you to have everything at your left hand. I understand you're busy. So, if there's information you can provide so we can put it in post, just let me know.
Okay.
Okay. So first one is Wu-Tang. You have said that you do not control the Wu-Tang wallet. You said that last night. You said that a friend did it. You said you didn't know what Wu-Tang was.
A fund did it. Yes, not a friend.
Right. Okay. A fund. Okay. On a podcast with Logan
Make
Paul
that clear.
About CryptoPunks, you talk about a call you had with Mr. Gary, where you claim to have bought and or sold CryptoPunks, but then later decided to roll the money into VFriends. And this is all like video, obviously. And this trading activity all happened within the Wu-Tang wallet, which we talked about last night.
Bang. So that was part of the investigation, which I thought was very curious. And I was kind of surprised that he even said that he doesn't have access to the Wu-Tang wallet, or that he didn't even know who Wu-Tang Clan was. And I'd be curious to a deeper explanation of that, because they basically they lined up him talking on a podcast about, I mean, unless it's literally just him, the explanation is probably, I like punk, like everything he's saying, he's making it sound like I bought CryptoPunks, then I rolled in to be friends. It's more just like him calling his crypto guy to be like, hey, buy this punk and then sell the punk. And then it just feels like you want to be involved in that process. Like you're on OpenSea or whatever, like not even OpenSea, but you're like browsing which punk you want and figuring it out. But I could be naive, probably at that level of wealth, and you have the money. You're just like, you call your crypto guy and you're like, I like this one. Tell him I want to buy it, and you find a way to buy it. Like, so, it's all speculation. So I'm curious to hear his response to that, because that was my same thought going into this. Was there was kind of, again, it was circumstantial evidence lined up with your podcast talking about the purchases of these, with the Wu-Tang wallet specifically buying these things at the same time.
Yes.
So if it was your decision, if semantically, if what you're talking about on the podcast, if it was your decision, your trading decision to buy and sell the punks or VFriends, even though you didn't press the buttons, was it actually your decision? Did you press the button? Did you not press the button? Was it your decision? And if it was your decision, and even if you didn't press the button, it still, to me, would mean that you had control of those trading decisions.
Yeah, these are good questions. Actually, I'm glad we're doing this follow-up thing so we can also just put all this stuff out there. So, yes, I did say that in the podcast, and I obviously did not press the buttons. Like I've been saying, I didn't pick what punks.
It's not obvious at all. I still don't. I'm still speculative. I don't notch. Okay, we'll believe it.
To buy or anything. Gary V, like I said on that podcast, called me and a bunch of other people, said CryptoPunks were the next big thing. I thought it was pretty crazy. But, the first thing I did right after that is just called the guy in charge of the fund who invested my money and it's other people's money as well, and just said, hey, Gary V seemed very passionate about these punks. You should look into it. If it makes sense, buy it. And so, he did the research, picked what punks to buy, bought them. I don't even truthfully know how to buy punks. I've never bought one, like me personally.
Okay.
Like I've said, I don't have access to that wallet. So, in other transparency, like that's kind of high level how it went. But if he was like, oh, this is a shit investment, then he wouldn't have bought them. So he was the one who was doing the buying and selling and managing things.
Okay. But you did make some decisions to buy or sell in the Wu-Tang fund.
I just told him like, hey, Gary, like in transparency, Gary called me about CryptoPunks and said they were cool. Look into it. So at the end of the day, bro, I don't fucking know. Like I don't know which punks to buy or which ones we should buy if it's a good investment. Like that's why I put the money in a fund and had professionals managing it.
Gotcha. Okay. They're stupid as shit. I don't like any of the NFT stuff. I'm glad that's all kind of come and gone now. I like the newer era we're in. Okay, so next is the
I also I fucked around with NFTs for a bit, but I was never big into it. That wasn't my edge as far as crypto goes, NFTs. I like the idea of like digital ownership. I think where it went with NFTs was just insane, where people are spending, what you could buy a fucking Malibu mansion on a fucking JPEG. Very out of touch with reality. But I think there will be a resurgence around digital ownership. It might happen with NFTs. It might not. But it's not going away. But it's just never been my thing either. On the same page there. And again, listen, benefit of the doubt, it's not unthinkable to think that he had a guy that is just kind of controlling these wallets. But again, just this idea that like he has no idea what's going on, kind of that like he's kind of clarifying now, and Caleb's trying to clarify, like you did make the decisions of what to buy in that. He might not have been pressing the buttons, but he was certainly involved in the decision. I mean, it's his money after all. But at the same time, like you said, he could just be ignorant, and the guy who's the crypto expert was like, hey, we can make a bunch of money doing this, and MrBeast just thinks, whatever, okay, it sounds good.
The super tweet, the super coin tweet. For context, on May 12th, 2021, you, MrBeast, tweeted in response to it was an Elio Trades tweet. There's a gym sitting there on the market at an eye-watering price set to explode during DeFi Summer 2.0. And then you responded by saying super ? With a crazy emoji.
Yep.
So why did you not disclose that you had a vested interest in the coin that you were tweeting about? Super question mark. We'll start there.
Well, I replied to a tweet, so I didn't tweet it out. And I think a lot of people, that are just getting second hands of the story think I literally tweeted out, go buy super, go buy super. The fund did hold some super, and I just saw that was the owner of super, the guy who made the coin. And I just went scrolling through Twitter, just replied super to his tweet. I did not tell people to buy super or anything. I just replied super. And I know the next thing where people are going to go, but this was a planned, coordinated thing. It wasn't. It's not like I'm on the phone with the people managing the crypto fund going, hey, I'm about to reply super to this tweet. Like, I just was scrolling Twitter and I replied super. And like, I highly doubt anyone bought it because they saw me reply super to a tweet.
Yeah, I would actually disagree with that. I imagine you certainly raised awareness for the project because of that. People that are in crypto Twitter are like constantly looking for the next, 100x and will pick up clues any way they can.
I mean, just to be honest. So I didn't think too much of it. Obviously, though, in hindsight, I mean, I could see how people might think that is a weird look optically. And so, like, I wouldn't do it. But, I mean, I really don't think it's that malicious. Like, if I just flat out tweeted, I think super is the next big thing. Go buy it. Super. Like, I think this is a different conversation. That's the kind of stuff actual people do. You know what I mean? And, like,
scammers.
So I just don't. Yeah, so it was interesting too because Coffee never said I was a scammer in his video. Yet, there's so many comments on it. Just right. A lot of people just want to drive, whatever. People who don't like me, like he said in the video, are not going to like me, and they're going to run with it. People who do like me are going to be like, oh, it was managed by fund, and Jimmy had answers for everything. Which, I mean, it's not excuses. I literally was just a fund. I was not the one buying or selling or anything. You know what I mean? I had other people managing it.
Right.
So that's the honest answer. I just replied super, and I guess
I mean, the only hiccup there is like, all right, you've said that a million times. Like, yeah, I don't, it wasn't me. I have people managing, but dude, if this whole investigation is like, hey, here's a bunch of shit that this wallet did that could be considered nefarious, you're still culpable by association a little bit. But that being said, like, no, I don't think MrBeast is a scammer. He has no intentions to scam people. He just is an opportunist, as most big YouTubers are. I think for me, like, it would go a long way for me, like I said at the beginning of talking about this, before we were watching this video, one thing that is important to me is radical honesty. And it's like, I feel like Jimmy is just at that point where he's not allowed to be honest. Everything has to be PR. You have to carefully figure out how you're going to talk about things. And if you're just like, yeah, listen, man, like I knew these guys, like they're in the industry, and like they told me they could make me a bunch of money, and I invested in some stuff and I did make a bunch of money. I didn't know at the time, like in hindsight, it was maybe not the best thing to do because of the way the tokenomics were and how the emissions were, and the fact that there was no investing cliff, and that all that retail came in and we were dumping the tokens as retail was investing in this thing that, my fund was trying to tell them was the next best thing. Like, I see now in hindsight that maybe wasn't the best way to go about it. And I'll try and figure out a new way to diversify in the future. Like, that type of talk to me just goes a million miles. And like, nobody talks like, it's all just fucking PR babble. Like, I'm not associated. It's a fun. It's like just talk honestly. Just, does anybody fucking talk honestly anymore? You knew what was going on, obviously, like to some extent.
I go back in time, I'd just not reply. I mean, I didn't think it was a big deal when I did it.
Yeah, but now, I mean, obviously, with
I agree with that.
Crypto
I'm sure you didn't think it was a big
changed
deal at all.
massively in the last couple of years. So you could consider that a mistake at this point. Like, that's definitely
And another little context point I think a lot of people are missing. A lot of people who do this kind of stuff do it on low volume coins that, like, sell $100,000 a day. So it actually dramatically pumps it and blah, blah. Super is like the 100th biggest crypto coin out there. Super is like a legit coin. It's a legit project that's massive. Like, that tweet didn't move the needle for shit or anything, right? So that's another piece people are missing. Like, if anything, buying Super, actually, I'm not even going to say that. I was going to, would probably be a good investment because it's one of the biggest coins out there and it seems to be doing really well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
One of the biggest coins. What are you talking about, dude? No, it's absolutely not. It's not even close. It's less than 1 billion market cap. It's 6. I mean, okay, on the grand scale of 100 billion fucking crypto coins that have been launched in the last 10 years, yes, it's in the it's in the top 1%, certainly.
Now I have to say, disclosure, we still hold Super to this day. Yeah, that's honest. That's the honest truth. I mean, nothing malicious there. Just replied to a tweet.
Yeah. I think. I mean, there's we
Fair.
have a lot of evidences
Fair
of
play.
a lot of evidence of people genuinely scamming, and it doesn't seem along the same vein to be
No,
real.
it's not.
But it is important to ask about and important to get total clarity about, because you do have a lot of influence.
Right.
And regardless of what you say, whether or not you say, oh, I'm sure nobody bought it, like maybe somebody did. Who knows? There's no way to really prove or disprove.
But even if they did buy it, the coin, I mean, it's a 100th biggest coin, and it seems to be doing really well. So
yeah, I think the problem would be that the obviously that you have it, that you would benefit off.
I gotcha. I mean, I see what you're saying. Yes.
I don't even know that's the problem. Like, that's assumed now. Like, I guess like you have to come out with a statement like, hey, I'm invested in this project that I'm talking about. It's like everything this dude does is he's promoting things that benefit him with Feastables, his videos, like everything. Like, that's the point. I know with investment vehicles in crypto, obviously, but it seems crazy to me that like it is a little over the top, the fact that he replied with eyeballs and said super, that is under so much scrutiny because things 100,000 times worse happen every single day in the industry, left and right, every single second on Twitter by crypto influencers that have influence in the crypto space, but nobody cares because it's just expected. But because it's MrBeast, he is under a much more powerful microscope. So I know I've been very critical. I'm not just critical in general of different investment tactics and how things work in the space. But again, I don't think Jimmy has a nefarious bone in his body where he's trying to thinking about, he's like, oh yeah, I know I can scam these people and make money. No, he just is trying to make money as someone with a lot of capital and wants to diversify in an industry where there's a lot of money flowing, is what it is.
So now I'm assuming your answer to this will be that you just didn't think it was important, but why would you not mention that your fund, Wu-Tang, had been selling and continued to sell super on the day and after you tweeted about it or responded to a tweet for clarity?
Question.
Yeah. So again, I wasn't involved in the day-to-day of the fund. I mean, if you look at the sell charts in that report, they were selling, I mean, I believe off the top of my head, like months prior or then months after. It looks like the fund was just dollar cost averaging it. So there's literally no correlation to my just little response to a tweet and what the fund was doing. So, I mean, yeah, it's kind of the same answer as before. I just replied to a tweet. Clearly, it wasn't a coordinated thing.
Gotcha. And then the final one, this one's a lot more complicated and involves a lot of stuff. So I mean, maybe you would want to reconvene with like receipts or evidence or whatever. But it's the crypto charity stuff. Team C's Eternity.
Yeah.
So I mean,
that one. Eternity gave us NFTs to auction off for Team C's. Only one sold after like a day, I believe, and that was it. And then it looks like the fund sold like 27 days later. A little bit of Eternity. It was not combined or planned or premeditated in any way. I mean, honestly, the charity auction was a bomb. It only raised $7,000. No one cared, so it didn't really do anything. That's kind of the full story. There's nothing nefarious there. Yeah,
it sold $2 million of the earn tokens.
Yes, the fund did 27 days later. Yes, after the NFT sold.
Okay, yeah, that seems. I mean, it seems like a lot. I don't know what the market cap was, but yeah. I mean, I just for this one, I feel like this is a valid criticism.
I wasn't really familiar with this at the time. I think there was something that he did with a collaboration with some sort of NFT launch for some sort of charity. And there was some sort of token selling going on during this, which I don't know enough details to make an opinion on it. But
and this doesn't make you like an evil scammer or anything, I don't believe. But, it's like this kind of stuff, transparency in regard to this kind of stuff, it's just super, super, super important. And you are the charity guy too. I mean, like if anybody,
the philanthropy dude,
we complain. So we talked a lot about the philanthropy stuff and how, CGI has gotten you in trouble and had a net negative in your charitable doings. I feel like this is one where the criticism is valid in regard to charity. And it is a good example of philanthropy stuff that probably should have just been done differently, but at the same time, 2021 is like a huge area of gray for influencers with crypto access, and like it's just, I don't know, it's a fucking
Newsflash, a lot of philanthropy efforts are really just for-profit efforts. I don't know if you know this, but I'm not saying MrBeast specifically, just in general. A lot of nonprofits. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but it is what it is.
And it seems like a game that if you're a big influencer in 2021 or 2020 and you got into crypto at some point, you probably made some kind of mistake at some point. Yeah, I mean, it seems you being the charity guy, and this is once again to give you the benefit of the doubt with all the philanthropy stuff that we spoke about last night. I think all that stuff is huge and massive. But as the charity guy, if your fund is privately making like millions of dollars during a charity drop that your name is attached to, like even if
so
that's
again,
bad.
that I would say is not fully correct. So the charity drop happened. One sold, the other ones weren't selling. No one cared. So there was no selling of NFTs to raise money for charity anywhere near where the fund was selling before or after. People could technically still have bought those NFTs, but no one did because it just basically no one cared. So I just don't feel like that's a fair criticism. Like they gave Team C's some NFTs to raise money. One sold, no one cared, and then it just basically died. And then just under a month later, it looks like the fund sold some tokens, completely unrelated to all of this. So it's not like this. Whereas a charity drop that was selling hundreds of NFTs a day, and in the middle of all of it, they sold some earn tokens. It's like one NFT sold, raised money. The charity, sell just basically died. It's not going. No one's buying it. No one ever buying it anymore. And almost a month later, it sold. So I mean, if anything, it looks like the people in the fund were being cognizant of it and paused selling and waited till long after it ended to do it. You know what I mean? So I actually disagree. I don't think anything nefarious was done there, to be honest.
Okay.
It just feels very convoluted. I'm not sure what they're talking about. I'd have to look a little more deeper into this particular one.
Just to be clear, though, you keep saying a couple coins or like you're downplaying it. It's $2 million of earned tokens. That's quite a bit. That's like a lot of money.
Of course. And obviously not all of it is mine. It's the fund. But it was also known that my fund was invested in it and I was a part of the fund. So it's also not like it was hidden that we were invested in earn. Like that was public information.
Right. Cool. Yeah. You just, maximum transparency there. It's like, if there's any other information you want to send in regard to that, I've got the DMs of, from Nick Rose, the CEO of Eternity Chain, talking about, that there will be a 2-month auction for charity and that quote unquote, MrBeast is supporting both drops, which obviously that's not you saying that is.
So what it sounds like to me, if I'm wagering, and I'm going to look into this a little bit more on my own time, but they used something called Eternity Chain, which was some sort of crypto app or chain, as an arbiter to do this NFT drop to raise money for Team C's. And it's like, all right, here's these Team C's NFTs, and that are hosted on Eternity Chain, and the public can buy these NFTs, and it will be charity money raised for Team C's to obviously clean up the seas when he did that huge initiative years ago. But newsflash, a lot of these chains obviously have a token related to their chain. So it sounds like this earn token was somehow related to the Eternity Chain. So, well, it's not like they were selling NFTs and misappropriating the funds. It sounds like they raised a lot of awareness around the Eternity Chain because of the NFT charity event that the CEO of Eternity Chain used MrBeast's names to kind of promote that, hey, he's using our platform to do this Team C's charity event. And so obviously people are going to see that and be like, oh, this is big news. I'm going to invest in Eternity Chain and buy the earn token, which apparently was related to them. And then that's going to make the price. So that the NFT thing was unrelated, but it raised a lot of awareness for this chain that then inflated the price. And then a month later, MrBeast's fund sold $2 million worth of the token related to that chain. So you can see where, like, you can fill in the blanks. Maybe that sounds a little, It is what it is. It is what it is, man. A lot of gray in this industry.
This guy, but yeah, it's just something to be super transparent about.
100%, and I'm glad I could give color on these things. To be honest, so I'm glad like people now can see what I have to say on both those things, and I actually appreciate this follow-up call. And this is good. Like I actually feel like I mean, unless you have any other questions, everything's been hit. And
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I can't. Can you think of anything?
I'm actually never doing that again.
Hold on.
Tokens. That's quite a bit. That's like a lot.
I just caught that ending. Hold on.
Thanks. I mean, unless you have any other questions, everything's been hit. And
that's it. I mean, I can't. Can you think of anything?
I'm actually never doing that again.
It's a great ending. Oh man.